So I woke up the next morning feeling, shall we say, a little bit seedy from the night before. Might have been the cockroach or the happy pizza, I don't know. Anyway, I thought it might be time to have a bit of a chilled out day and go and visit the Royal Palace and get a bit of culture into me. So with that in mind, I jumped in a tuk-tuk and headed off.
So here we are in front of the Royal Palace. Currently the Queen is the reigning monarch of Cambodia. We're going to visit this palace as well as a few temples and get to the National Museum. For the meantime, check out the grandeur of the Royal Palace here in Phnom Penh.
The Royal Palace is a complex of buildings which serves as the royal residence of the King or current Queen of Cambodia. The kings and queens have occupied it since it was built in the 1860s, with a period of absence when the country fell into turmoil during the reign of the Khmer Rouge. The palace was constructed after King Norodom relocated the royal capital from Udong to Phnom Penh in the mid-19th century. It was gradually built on top of an old citadel and faces east, situated on the west bank of the Tonle Sap River. Though the Royal Palace was established in 1866, it's a comparatively recent event when you think of the history of the Khmer in Cambodia. The seat of the Khmer power rested in the region of Angkor, as we'll see later on, from about 800 AD until the 15th century. The complex is divided by walls into three main compounds. On the north side is the Silver Pagoda, on the south side is the Kamaran Palace, and the central compound contains the Throne Hall. After spending all morning inside the royal complex, it was time to come outside and get some food, Cambodian style. Khmer cuisine is one of the world's oldest living types and is regarded by many as one of the healthiest and most balanced cuisines on the planet, with an emphasis on simplicity, freshness and regional foods.
So here we are again at one of these sit-down outdoor markets. We're sitting on our mat. We are having some of our delightful salad that we've just seen made up, and we're going to get stuck into it. Enjoy sitting here on a rug and enjoying the scenery. So let's check out some more temples and finish off our lunch.
I have to say that one of the highlights of going to Cambodia was definitely the eating. Okay, so maybe having started out on cockroach and frog, anything seemed good. But if you look at the photos I took, all of these foods I ate and were taken with my own camera, no doctoring or Photoshop involved. So it shows you just how fresh and tasty the food was. I enjoyed my entire culinary experience in Cambodia. Okay, so after all that pigging out, it was time to get back on my feet and exercise, Cambodian style.
So here we are in front of the Vietnam-Cambodia Memorial that commemorates the agreements between these two countries. Behind me is the obligatory dance group in unison that makes for that classic YouTube kind of video. So let's check out the monument, some of the dancing, get into a routine, shall we?
So I figured it was time to say goodbye to our group Cambodian aerobics, head out of the main square and jump on board one of those classic tuk-tuks, head back to the hotel and plan my next adventure. Okay, let's get on board and head back, shall we? So of course no discussion of Cambodia would be complete without discussing the most infamous period when the Khmer Rouge under Pol Pot murdered millions of Cambodians. What had happened was that the Vietnamese had taken over in December 1978. It started a 10-year occupation that made all the Khmer people have to flee to the countryside. This started a great big war that was a civil war in the country, lasted for 13 years. The results of which we'll see in the video, many deaths, and unfortunately of the population of Cambodia, those people
aged between 30 and 60, there's about 50% of them who are dead. So one of the unfortunate things when you're in Cambodia is you see a lot of young people and you see a lot of old people, but the gap in between the two, you don't see so many, and it's reflective of what's occurred in the country. So with some great respect, let's talk about the killing fields and the history of the Civil War with Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge, shall we?
The Genocide Museum in Phnom Penh is ironically situated on a former high school base which was used as the notorious security Prison 21 by the Khmer Rouge during its regime. The killing fields are a number of sites in Cambodia where large numbers of people were killed and buried by the Khmer Rouge regime led by Pol Pot from 1975 till 1979, immediately after the end of the Cambodian Civil War. Estimates of the total number of deaths, including from disease and starvation, range from 1.7 to 2.5 million people out of a population of only 8 million. The Khmer Rouge systematically arrested and executed almost anyone suspected of connections with the former government or with any foreign government, including intellectuals. We aren't without blood on our hands here in Australia. While Pol Pot led the regime under the Khmer Rouge banner, the Australian government under Foreign Minister Gareth Evans was still sending foreign aid because we were anti-communism and therefore anti the Vietnamese control of the country. Phnom Penh is a budget shopper's paradise with numbers of markets ranging from the Russian market in the south to the night markets we're going to visit later on. But let's start out in the central marketplace where we can pick up a bargain. The central market was constructed in 1937 in a dome shape with four arms branching out into vast hallways in Art Deco style. You'll find everything here from souvenirs and people hawking things from t-shirts and postcards to all kinds of arts and crafts. I actually bought a video camera there too, but the highlight has to be the dazzling display of jewels and gold. Anyway, let's have a look around, shall we? Coming up after the break, we finish off Phnom Penh by heading out and having a meal in the night markets with the rest of the community. We also go and check out a local concert and then ask finally that important question, what's with some of those haircuts? See you after the break, everyone.